On the Long Island Sound, winter doesn't just arrive, it takes hold. It is the coldest day of the year, leaving the intertidal zone a stark landscape of jagged granite and brittle ice. To almost any living creature, these conditions are lethal. Yet scattered throughout the shallows are countless groups of tiny defiant shapes. Snails. These are common periwinkles. At first glance, they look like nothing more than stones, motionless and forgotten in the cold. But beneath these humble spiral shells, a heart still beats. As intertidal specialists, these snails spend their days scraping algae off sun-bathed rocks. In these extreme conditions, however, there is a heavy price for staying too close to the surface. As the tide flows out, it exposes the snails, who are far too slow to move into deeper, warmer waters. Now they are left unprotected from sub-zero temperatures and piercing winds. But these snails are virtually winterproof. As the temperature drops, they can survive being frozen solid. Their tissues are protected by a natural antifreeze, a biological marvel that prevents ice from shattering their delicate cells. While other organisms would perish as their internal fluids crystallize, the periwinkle hits pause and patiently waits for the tide to return. But there is a complication to their story. They were never supposed to be here. In the 1800s, they were accidental travelers hitching a ride from Europe, most likely in the rock ballast of transatlantic ships. Because they are such determined survivors, they swept across the coast, grazing rocks bare, and outcompeting the native species, like this eastern mud snail. It's a familiar story of displacement, an ecosystem thrown off balance by a hardy traveler thriving at the expense of those who came before. Now, the sound must weave the stranger into its fabric. Barnacles use them as foundations. Gulls feast on the snail's tender meat, learning the exact height needed to drop them and crack their armor. And native snails survive on the margins, keeping to sandy areas that the periwinkles avoid. The native balance hasn't fully returned, and likely never will. But among the disruption, it is possible to observe the forces of nature in real time. A dynamic, adaptive, and complex system filled with individuals doing whatever they can to survive the conditions they encounter. As the tide returns to thaw the ice, the periwinkles begin to move again. Invaders and survivors. Now a permanent thread in the tapestry of the sound.